All right, welcome back, ladies and gents. Episode 80 of the Change My Mind podcast, part of the hashtag Yorkshire Gooniverse, along with Geeks Worldwide Radio and Midnight FM. One of those times I'm going to actually get through the first sentence here. We are, of course, the People's Podcast. We are the prettiest podcast of the Yorkshire Gooniverse, and we are the quote-unquote official podcast of Nuance. I am Wesley Sykes, and through the other side of the ether is the Salvatore Moroni to my Carmine Falcone, Nick Fryer.
Okay, I can take that because then I take over the business for you for the movie that we're talking about or the story we're talking about. I guess I can live with that.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I mean, I think we both come out winners there. I think I don't think there's anyone who comes out ahead.
Yeah, I don't think anybody comes ahead, obviously, because Moroni gets his ankles broken in The Dark Knight, and
does he though? Does he? We'll bring that up.
Okay. Okay, I guess we'll talk about that later. But in reference to your what you're saying earlier, though, about getting the intro right, you get 2/3 every single time. I mean, that's a 667 batting average, and you're taking that all day.
That's also a D. It's all semantics.
But if we're talking basketball, it's also a 667 shooting percentage. Again, take that all day.
Yeah, I'll take that. That's better than Michael Jordan in some books. As we open up the show here, Nick, what is a lesser-known destination you visited on a family vacation as a child?
I didn't go to a lot of family vacations as a kid.
Go to Disney World?
I went to Disney World, but that's not a lesser-known location necessarily.
Yeah, I just wanted to say baseline. Like, okay, you've been to Disney World.
Yeah, I've been to Disney World, and I went to South Carolina, but I think Myrtle Beach is in South Carolina, right? Yeah. So I went to Myrtle Beach, but that was for a baseball thing. That's not a lesser-known place. I mean,
well, I believe in our Yorkshire Gooniverse Twitter chat, you humbly bragged that you summered, quote unquote, on the Cape.
Yeah, that was very convenient for me to mention that because I wanted to rile you up, just because I know how upset you get when I say that you don't live on the Cape.
Yeah,
you want to know how to piss Wes off?
Starting the show in an argument, this will completely derail the show. So I will just say false narratives all the way around. But the reason I bring this up, this was something that was shared from Matt Shirley on Twitter, and it was the worst tourist attractions by each state. Do you want to take a guess of what Massachusetts is? The good old Bay State?
Is it something in the western part of the state?
No. Well, fairly close to me, actually. One might say a stone's throw away from me, if you will.
Okay. Oh, Plymouth Rock?
There we go. You see, that was a double entendre. Not only did I give a hint to the location, but I used stone and rock as like a little play on words.
It's very well done. It's even better when you explain it, and it even makes me feel even dumber when it took me a second to get it. Ugh.
But yeah, so what were some other ones in New England? The Big Blue Bug in Rhode Island, of course, made famous by Dumb and Dumber. Mm-hmm. We have the Kawassi in Connecticut. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't either.
In Vermont, there's the world's tallest filing cabinet. That's worth a quick pit stop.
Didn't know that.
And the rest in peace here, this might be a pick of the podcast, the Old Man in the Mountain in New Hampshire.
Okay. Going back to your question, what's the lesser known place you've been to, like on vacations as a kid?
So my father would always take me on these really fun summer trips, during summer vacation, and they're really long. We'd always shoehorn in a trip to my grandparents, his parents' house in upstate New York. So that's a really long, boring trip in Canastota, which is like right outside Oneida, Syracuse area. And that's a really long 6-hour boring trip. So we would break it up. Sometimes we go to the Baseball Hall of Fame. That's noteworthy. I'm not saying that's not, but
nice.
We went to Fort Ticonderoga, the home of the pencil, the number 2 pencil. And I believe some Civil War, battles were fought there. So we did that. We did the Gettysburg trip. In Gettysburg, we went to Gettysburg. We did Philadelphia, which my dad made it a point to say that we would not stay past sundown in Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
He was like, no, we're getting the hell out of there. And then we did a night in Hershey Park. I feel like that's a lesser known amusement park in Pennsylvania.
I think it's grown a little bit over the years, but yeah, as a kid, it didn't seem like that was a place people really went to. But as we've gotten older, I don't know. Maybe
you got your Six Flags, you got your Busch Gardens, your Sea Worlds, your Disney, your Universal Studios. Somewhere under that is Hershey Park.
Yes, I think that's a fair way to rank it. I went to a lot of lesser-known places in college as we traveled around. I mean, like I went to Kansas. We played Wichita State.
Sure.
And We went to, I mean, Lincoln, Nebraska is obviously well known, but I don't think many people are going to go vacation there necessarily. So different. I mean, Ann Arbor, obviously not a place you're going to for a fun time or anything like that, or East Lansing in Michigan, Columbus, Ohio. Actually, you know what? I give Ohio a lot of shit for being such a brutal state on the eyes, but Columbus, Ohio, not that bad, actually. It's pretty nice.
Okay.
Eddie George has a steakhouse there. Really nice place. Went there with my dad.
Nice. Okay, so you're just listing off other Big Ten schools that you played against.
Yeah, I guess so. Wichita State's not in conference, so I got that for you.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, Lubbock, Texas, armpit of America. Terrible.
Is that Texas A&M?
Texas Tech.
Texas Tech. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Of course, home of Patrick Mahomes.
Is that where Mahomes went? I didn't know that.
So. I believe he did. Yeah.
There you go.
A little less known fact. I was working on a story about the Muncie Fieldhouse in Muncie, Indiana, and I of course only know that because of Jerry from Parks and Rec. Him and his wife have a timeshare in Muncie that they go to every year. So that was my one connection to that. I said that to the guy that I was interviewing. I'm not sure if he picked up or appreciated it. He's like, "Yeah, okay."
I wonder how often Indiana people got to deal with that. Oh, did you guys watch Parks and Rec? No, yeah.
You guys got those TVs out there? It's just like Northeast elitism at its finest.
Yeah, exactly.
But we got a jam-packed episode here this week. So we're going to be in celebration of DC fandom, while the rest of the Dorkshire universe is going to be jumping over one another to get out the latest news in the DC fandom episode. We're going to be turning back to the DC rewatch vault to discuss our second installment, The Dark Knight.
Yes. We did do Batman Begins. We had Mac on pre-Dork Shared Gooniverse, and that was a fun episode. If you haven't listened to it already, I highly recommend going back and listening to it. We had Mac on for that one because he is not a Batman guy. So obviously, we changed his mind, I think, on a couple of things. But I don't know if it was always for the better necessarily, though.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Sometimes, it's all foot and mouth disease.
Yeah, but either way, that was a phone. But this one obviously is much bigger. But Wes, we got to get to a little bit of news first, right?
Right. And like I said, while everyone else is doing the DC fandom episode this week, we would be remiss if we didn't at least touch on some things. And while you've probably seen all the trailers, you've watched the panels at this point, I think the best way that we can probably use this time to quickly run through and highlight some things. What are some 2 things that you liked, 2 things maybe you disliked or were disappointed by, or would like to see a little bit more, or maybe underwhelmed from the DC fandom?
So I didn't really have much that I disliked. I thought they did a good job, but I thought it was run well. They gave us a lot of information, gave us things maybe we expected, some things we didn't expect. I would have liked some more comic book news. We did get some stuff, and I will touch on that in the comic book minute quickly. But all in all, I also get it. Because they're dealing with, they had the 1/3 of the company was laid off on the publishing side, so that's a huge issue. But from the stuff that I liked, everything seemed outstanding. The Batman trailer was awesome. Yeah. That would have been my number one. Very excited about the Red Hood and Barbara Gordon news for Titans because I have been watching that show. But number one with a bullet for me, and I never thought I'd say this after watching like a comic book thing, is the video game. Gotham Knights looks friggin' outstanding. I imagine it's not going to be available on Xbox One, which is the system that I have. All the Dork Shared Universe has PlayStation, so whatever. But I'm probably going to have to get a new system to play that game, and I will buy a new system to play this game because you can play as Red Hood and Nightwing and Batgirl. Tim Drake, I respect you, but I'm not really interested in playing. Using you as a character. Those 3, though, holy shit, I am so excited to use Red Hood especially. I'll probably just use him and then use Nightwing a little bit, but I'm jacked up about that shit. Still as excited as I was when I found out about the news as we record this now, I am still just as excited about that game.
I don't think you've taken off that shirt since the panel came out.
Yeah, for those who are just listening to us in audio version, I am rocking my Red Hood shirt. And honestly, I have my Red Hood DC Collectibles action figure. I think this is, whatever collection it is. But I have that alongside my computer as we're recording this because I'm just so excited. How can you not be?
Now you move that around a lot. Do you sleep with that Red Hood? Do you tuck him in? Is he like the little spoon to you at night? Or
he's my work buddy. He's my editor for everything that I write. He looks over my shoulder.
Okay. Oh, good.
Yes.
Good. Well, it's always good to have an extra set of eyes.
Yes. Yeah. Lord knows that I need them.
Yeah, absolutely. But the Batman clip, I think that was my number one with a bullet there. I think that's great. Everything that you got is that gritty. that gritty version of Batman, that detective early on Batman that we like, that we haven't really got to see so much. I think we touch on it a little bit in The Dark Knight, those type of detective skills. But yeah, I thought that was great. I love the idea of the Riddler and this kind of gritty, dark London, Gotham style format that they have. So I was completely blown away, and I like the fact that these are going to be separate from one another. I think that was my big takeaway, is that these all kind of exist in their own universes in so many ways. And I'm the first one to say I love a connected universe. I love a shared universe. But I think my big takeaway from this is the connective tissue of the Flash and the importance that that's going to play in connecting some of these universes, some past movies that are going to get roped in now too, right? With the likes of the Justice League, Batman, and Batman '89 with Michael Keaton. But
right.
The Flash panel was something I really enjoyed. This was a quote from Ezra Miller, who I'm not sure if he's canceled. Apparently they're just pushing forward with him. He seems a little out there pushing people to the ground. I'm not sure how cool that is, but this is what he said. I thought this was great. So on the movie The Flash, he says, this film is immensely important because if you look around the DC universe, obviously you have a lot of these characters that exist within their own bubbles. We even have now multiple iterations of the same story. This movie, by opening that door that Flashpoint did in the comics, all of these stories and characters can start to collide. It blows our mind the level of possibility that exists within the context of this character, this story. And that just gets me excited because, the Flash is kind of, a very popular character within the lore of the DC and the Justice League, but like in the terms of like the movie, like hasn't really gotten his due yet. And for him to play such a big role in how this DC universe moves forward, I really like that. I dig that.
And I think it's the right move, and the fact that there was ever thought that it may not be the way to go is ridiculous, because now I remember when Casey Walsh, of course, of Geeks Worldwide, who we've had on a few times here, was talking about the multiverse idea for DC and how it's not just the movies. It's not limited to that. It includes comics, cartoons, video games, shows, everything, whether it's animated shows or live action shows. Everything is in play. That's the whole idea. It's messy, but guess what? It's a different spin than what Marvel has done. As much as they're going to probably start introducing multiverses and everything, that's going to put some pressure on DC. It's the right move for DC because they're making the move now when we haven't all seen what Marvel is going to do, and that allows DC to go back and maybe you make fun of certain Batman, like maybe we see Robert Pattinson Batman as he gets older. He looks back, he got to know Batman from Batfleck Batman. He's like, yeah, that guy kind of didn't really know what the hell he was doing. That was a really bad version of me. All these different things, and now you can start pulling from the comics more easily with certain stories. So I'm very excited. And now you can see more actors take on Batman, where it's maybe not necessarily a big deal because it's just like it's their own self-contained movie, grounded movie.
I love it. Yeah, my other big like was maybe to your surprise, maybe to the listener's surprise, the Wonder Woman 84 trailer.
I am stunned by this.
I was pleasantly surprised. This looks like a fun movie.
Mm-hmm.
I like Kristen Wiig. The CGI cheetah reveal was cool. I'm not sure how that's going to play out in movie form, but in trailer form, I thought that was cool. Again, I think Mac and Goo touched on this when they were going over some of the things, but it's kind of a reversal of the fish out of water theme. It was first Wonder Woman being a fish out of water. Now it's going to be, what's his name, Steve Trevor. Steve Trevor, fish out of water, when he comes back somehow, like Captain America did.
Right,
come out of ice or however he comes back into the fold. But it looks fun. The '80s vibe. I love the kind of like the color palette that it has. So I'm in it. I'm in for it. And I like the wings. Like she had those like Archangel type like battle wings on at one point. She just like sheds them off. I was like, that's cool. I love that. Riding along the lightning bolts. Like, that's good stuff.
I think that's going to be good. I mean, but I was already pretty comfortable about Wonder Woman anyways because I like the original movie. You, not as much a big fan. But when we finally do get that, we're probably going to have to do a rewatch on the original 100%. Wonder Woman going into that. But I'm curious, where did you stand on the Suicide Squad stuff? Because it seemed like some people were jacked up about that. I know Mac was, speaking of that.
Yeah, I mean, I know nothing about it. James Gunn with these type of ragtag group of, superhero movies with lesser-known characters. Obviously, he's done a good job of that with the Guardians. And this seems very similar. So I see no reason why. And, you get a look at the cast. And I don't know much of these characters, but, Margot Robbie, Viola Davis comes back, and who was Joel Kinnaman. They're all back from the Suicide Squad, the original.
Jai Courtney.
Jack Courtney as well. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Captain Boomerang. But then you got John Cena as Peacemaker, who's supposed to be like a douchey Captain America.
Perfect.
Pete Davidson as a Blackguard. Michael Rooker as Servant, which I thought he was going to be King Shark. I thought that was an early rumor. But you have Sean Gunn as Weasel, which many people have opined on the internet, which is like almost a perfect fit because he kind of looks weaselly. Idris Elba as Bloodsport. And who else? Anyone else that I'm missing there? Then a bunch of other characters that like I just never even.
There's a shit ton of characters I've never heard of. I don't even know Pete Davidson's character, but I'm excited for what he's going to do because I think in a smaller role, I'm not a huge fan of his comedy. I've told you that, but I did like what was it, King of Staten Island, and I did think there were some moments where he was funny, but it was more of his acting, and that I thought was really well done because I think it's close to the heart for him. Obviously, that story, but with him, smaller role. In just providing a few like comedic moments, I'm comfortable with him in that, especially in a superhero movie. And then, the same thing goes with Cena. You're gonna have him play a douchebag. I think that's perfect. I feel very comfortable with him taking on that. You know who else is in too? Is Nathan Fillion's in this too? I believe.
Yeah. The detachable kid, which I was looking up who he is. He's supposed to be, I forget, like a play off of a comic book character where he just loses his arms, like his arms drop off.
Oh, that sounds like a very useful.
Yeah, so I don't know, maybe you rip your arm off and then beat somebody with it. That would be kind of cool.
I think this will be good.
Snyder Cut Justice League trailer. I wasn't crazy. I put that in the disliked list just because I'll give it to Zack Snyder and all of DC. They make a great trailer. I feel like you get fooled so often with how great these trailers are with BVS, Justice League, some of the other movies that are come out there. The Suicide Squad. I feel like these all look good, and then they end up not being the finished product that you were hoping for. Like something happens. So I'm optimistic that this will be good. It's supposed to be 4 1-hour installments on HBO Max, but again, it's just like no new footage or anything. The song choice is great, right? It's a Kurt Cobain song there. So it was good, but I'm not sure what to expect out of it.
I mean, that's fair. I'm cautiously optimistic when it comes to this. I think it looks a little bit better right now, but like you said, it's tough sometimes with these trailers, where especially when it comes to DC, and that's why, like, after Suicide Squad, right, the original Suicide Squad movie, that looked awesome. The way they did the trailer and cut that up and everything, but how do we know we can trust this? But the fact that I feel all right about this because I didn't hate Justice League. I didn't hate it, but I think this will be better. Yeah, I think that this will be. I think this will be better. It's just how much better is it going to be? I feel really comfortable in saying, you will watch this and then come back to me and say, when we're done, come back to me and say, did I really need this? Like, it would have been. I would have liked it more than the original one, but did I really need this?
It's going to be no different than the extended version of the BVS, right? You see that now, like you have like the extended cut when you order it like online, or what they show on HBO now. It's that extended cut with just more features, and that's a little bit of a better movie, but it still doesn't get rid of the flaws, which I think is just what it's going to be. So it's not going to be worse. Like I agree with that. I think it can only be better, or just marginally better. Just because again, it's just more content. If you get a chance to see Cyborg in action, or the Green Lantern, something like that, or Darkseid, like that's all people really want anyway.
Yeah, it would have been nice to have that originally, but I'm looking forward to that. I think I'm going to like this a lot personally.
Yeah. I mean, I'll watch it.
Yeah, of course you're going to, because what else? Especially who knows what's going to be going on at that point. But what else? Is there anything else you didn't like, or did you like everything else?
No, so I think that's it. I think that we could put a bow on the fandom here. I just think the other thing I thought was noteworthy this week is John Wick director is interested in directing MCU's Blade.
I like this.
So this is Chad Stileski. He's a stuntman turned director, and he told comicbook.com that he's not a, quote, big superhero guy, but then went on to go out of his way to mention that he'd like to do the Blade reboot if he had to choose a Marvel movie to be a part of. And what he says is that one, for some reason, the vampire martial art action vibe, that would be a cool one to stretch and try to reinvent.
I like
the perfect guy, I think.
Yeah, I think that I'm all for this, because now you have we've seen what he can do with in action with just a regular dude, right? John Wick's just a regular guy. As much as he's a badass and everything, please don't hurt me, Mr. Wick. But when you go and add that vampire vibe, now you have all these extra powers thrown in there, and you're fighting all these powered beings more than likely throughout the course of this. I think visually this is going to be just a stunning movie, and everybody loves the John Wick movies. They're all fun. Yeah, they're similar to the old school action movies, but there's like a mystique with them too. And when you're talking about vampires, I don't know if mystique's the right word, but there is something special about them that everybody loves. Yeah,
I think you got it. Yeah, and I think back to the Blade movies, like especially the first one. I guess you could go through the whole series or whatever, but I think that does match the fighting style and the kind of like that fighting aesthetic that John Wick was trying to go for.
Right.
I can see that crossover working very well.
In this, they will execute it better, A, because of the times, and B, because Stileski is just probably a better director than whoever had those. I don't know who it was. But
let's not be completely slanderous to the unknown. Yeah.
I mean, all right, fine, whatever. Anyways, so real quick reminder before we go on to the comic book minute, you guys can find our stuff and stuff from the rest of the hashtag DorkSharedGooniverse on TeePublic. We got shirts. There's tanks. I see you rocking a tank right now. I don't know if it's a DSG one, but whatever. But plenty of stuff over on hashtag Dorks page, Mac and Goose, and of course Change My Mind PCP. Billy's making shirts, but he's not putting them up for PCP. I don't know what the hell that shit's about, but they're always doing stuff ass backwards over there anyways. As for the comic book minute, I did mention that there was some things from DC Fandom. John Ridley is going to be writing a limited Batman series, and there's been a lot of rumors, Wes, that Lucius Fox's son, Luke Fox, is going to be the next Batman. And Ridley did say that he's expected to have a person of color as his Batman, and he did say he's going to focus on the Fox family. So he didn't confirm that it's going to be Luke Fox, but he kind of did confirm. Right, exactly at this point. It seems like it's going to be Luke Fox. Unless it's a friend of Luke Fox, I don't know. But that was a rumor already going around from a lot of different people. So there you go. So I'm excited about that. I just wonder, and it's going to have an impact on the DC universe. I just wonder if they're going to change Batman here. Cool, fine. What's going to happen to everybody else? How many other characters are going to get changed? Because I feel like there are some characters who maybe they've run their course as much as I still want to see them. But there are some others like Red Hood. Honestly, I don't want to see a new Red Hood. I want to see Jason Todd still. If you make some slight alterations to him and change the story up, cool. But just I don't want to see, like, if you want to turn Rose Wilson into the new Deathstroke, I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm just curious what this is all gonna lead to. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Then DC is also reviving Milestone Media, and that's the company that gave us Static Shock, and it's a lot of black creators, and a lot of black superheroes, and they were highlighted in, it was Robert Kirkman's history of I'm blanking on the name of it. It's History of Comic Books, I think, that he did on AMC. It was like a 12 episode series. I really enjoyed it, and they seem to have a good product. I think they were just ahead of their time. So maybe now that DC's backing them a little bit, hopefully they get a little more traction. But I think it's a worthwhile venture, and I'm sure I'll be looking into their stuff, especially with the way indie comics are going now, and how people like DC Black Label, all this stuff. Speaking of that, John Constantine Hellblazer 9 comes out this week. Okay. Reviewing that. Already read Red Hood 48, and I've been critical. I've told you, right? I've been down.
I recall quite a few comic book minutes where you've been disappointed.
This is the best issue since Red Hood and the Outlaws became Red Hood Outlaw. Red Hood 48, best issue since then. Absolutely friggin' love it. Okay. So excited about that, and they'll have more on Geeks Worldwide from that. Wes, you'll find this one interesting. The last DC title I want to highlight, Batman 3 Jokers, which is a very highly anticipated book, and I'm sure I'll read it. I will not be reviewing it. Someone else has got that for Geeks Worldwide. Already before it's hit the shelves, because we're recording this before New Comic Book Day. It's already sold 300,000 copies.
Wow! I saw the cover art for this going around on Twitter somewhere. I don't know if it was you or someone else that I follow, but it looks really cool.
Yeah, and everybody's jacked up about this. I haven't looked into it a whole hell of a lot, but now that everybody's freaking reading it, well, I mean, I might as well give it a look. It's 300,000 copies before it even gets to the shelves is friggin' outrageous.
It's a good feat.
Yeah. As for Marvel, Daredevil Annual 1 is coming out this week. Everything else, I felt like most our listeners wouldn't be too interested in. Image has Spawn 309 coming out, and then the third trade of Middle West, which is a 17-issue series that Doc talked about last episode of TLDR. So that's the final trade, I imagine, of this. So if you guys are looking to get in on that, now you have all 3 trades. You can get them all out, binge right through that. Doc spoke very highly of it. Lastly, Boom Studios. Doc's rule is if it's a first issue for Boom Studios, you go and you pick it up, you give it a shot because you're usually not going to be disappointed. Well, Mega Man Fully Charged issue 1 comes out this week. Were you a Mega Man guy, Wes?
I'm a big Mega Man guy. You got my attention.
Really?
My ears are perked, yeah.
Okay, well, I'll read a little bit of the synopsis then. It's a new beginning for the worldwide cultural phenomenon featuring heroes like Mega Man, Rush, and Dr. Light trying to save Silicon Valley from the villainous forces of the Robot Masters, set in the world of the Mega Man Fully Charged TV series, which I don't know much about the TV series.
No, I'm not familiar.
After Mega Man's father, Dr. Light, is kidnapped, a shocking truth rocks Mega Man's world as it seems the Robot Masters know more about his secret history than he does. I can go on, but there's a little idea of what's going on.
It's a good little taste. It's a good little tease.
Okay. Maybe Mega Man people will give it a shot. I don't know how much of this is just for kids or for kind of everybody.
This could be nostalgic to our age group, and maybe a little bit older. I think my brother even had those games. He's 7 years older than me. So
really?
He's a big fan. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think he's the one who brought me up on it. All those like old school Sega Genesis and Nintendo games.
Fun game. Mega Man had some fun games. That's for damn sure. But if you guys like more comic book stuff, Dr. Joe and I, 8 o'clock on Wednesdays. And actually, I should announce this here too, right, Wes? We're going to be carrying TLDR on the Change My Mind channel as well going forward. That's
a great. You guys are doing a great job on it. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, people are saying they want the audio version because sometimes they don't want to sit down and just watch. Totally understand that. So we know what I'm at one half of the People's Podcast, so I'm going to carry that over to TLDR.
Thank you for starting to pick that up. We're just going to slowly work that into the subconscious of everybody.
Now, as the People's Podcast, we want to talk about one of the best comic book movies that has ever been made, right, Wes? And we're doing that today?
Yes, of course. And as the People Podcast, we're going to bring that to you right now. And that is the Dark Knight. It was 2008 version. It came out in 2008. And what's the synopsis here, Nick?
Okay. When the menace known as the Joker wreaks havoc and chaos on the people of Gotham, Batman must accept one of the greatest psychological and physical tests of his ability to fight injustice. Tell me who directed this, Wes, in the cast.
Yeah, well, of course, it's directed by Christopher Nolan. Thank you for asking. And it stars Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne / Batman, Heath Ledger as the Joker, Oscar winner Heath Ledger, right? Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent, Maggie Gyllenhaal making an appearance as Rachel Dawes, Michael Caine as Alfred, Morgan Freeman as Sir Lucius Fox, Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon, and it has a runtime of 2 hours and 32 minutes.
So I think you said his name wrong. The butler, it's Michael Caine.
Sir Michael Caine. Yes.
I think that's they do it. And then pick of the pot, of course, for Heath Ledger too. Make sure you pay your respects appropriately.
A little bit.
This has a 9 out of 10 on IMDb, and then of course we have to include the Rotten Tomato scores because why not? 94-94 split. And the critics' consensus is a dark, complex, and unforgettable. The Dark Knight succeeds not just as an entertaining comic book film, but as a richly thrilling crime saga. And
I think that's succinct. That's a very succinct consensus synopsis there. I love it.
I don't give him any compliments, but I think you're right. They did a good job with that one. How much did this movie make?
It hauled in $1 billion. That's billion with a B, and $533 million of which was domestic. It spent 4 weeks at number 1 in the box office, 8 weeks in the top 5 overall, and 76 total weeks in theaters. That's more than a year, folks.
Is crazy. Is that a year and a half? It's almost a year and a half.
Yeah, if my math is correct.
So, if I'm not mistaken, that makes it a cult classic, right?
I believe so. By that definition.
Yeah, definitely.
Some may differ,
Some of the hashtag Dorkshire Gooniverse might disagree with us, but what the hell do they know?
We're open as the People's Podcast. We're open to interpretations.
Yeah. So make sure you guys let us know at Change My Mind Pod, and we will correct things or stand by it, whatever, and see how you all feel. All right, Wes, score time. What do you got for me?
I got to adjust myself in the seat. I'm getting ready. We're locked in here.
Mm-hmm.
I give this a solid 95 out of 100. This might be my highest score under this complex rating system that we have currently adopted.
Yes.
It's simply put, it's the GOAT superhero movie for me.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. All right. So I'm actually going to give this a slightly higher score. I'm going to give it a 97. But I still think it's in the best superhero movie of all time conversation. But I think Logan belongs in there as well. I love Deadpool, but I'm not putting it in there, obviously. But Infinity War and Endgame, depending on who you are, there's a lot more there. It's a self-contained movie, so I think it's hard to compare any of the Avengers movies. Obviously, Justice League and Suicide Squad pale in comparison, but they belong in that Avengers conversation of comparing movies. And then you have all the self-contained ones. I think it's Dark Knight. I think it's Logan are the 1, 2, no question best. I really like Logan, but that could be just because it was, it's recency bias as much as it's not really recent, but it's newer.
I love Logan too, and that was the other movie that kind of came to mind when I was thinking, like, all right, which one's my favorite one? And it just comes down to a term that gets used a lot on this program. It's rewatchability. And I can just turn on The Dark Knight and watch 10 minutes and then get sucked in, or when it's on TNT or something. But Logan, I feel like, doesn't have that same level for me. It has to be the right scene or something along those lines. I feel like that movie drags on in retrospect for me a little bit.
Okay, so there are definitely other movies that can suck me right in. I mean, there's Logan, Dark Knight, Deadpool, Captain America: Civil War, which I have seen over the past couple months throughout the whole quarantine and everything. I've seen a lot of people, or there's been some movement to I guess, promote Captain America: Civil War as the best comic book movie of all time. Which, I mean, it's different because it's all part of
the stakes were a lie.
The stakes.
We were told that it was going to be a civil war, and then no one died.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say Civil War? I meant to say Winter Soldier. I'm sorry. Winter Soldier. Sorry, such a jackass. Winter Soldier. Okay. So yeah, no, that's fair. I don't agree. I agree with you there. Civil War does not belong in that conversation at all. But
misheard you. Yeah, that's a starkly different conversation.
Yeah. But that one's been in the conversation, and that's another movie. It comes on, I'll get sucked in on that. And same thing with Guardians of the Galaxy. But again, it's a team movie, so I don't know if you can put that there. But anyways, I still think it's Logan and it's Batman. No questions asked. Those are the 1, 2, however you look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just to kind of go back to our Batman Begins rewatch with Mac. So it's Mac Man Begins, perhaps. He gave it a score of 63. I gave it an 83, a solid 20 points higher, and you fell somewhere in the middle there with an 80 out of 100.
A 63 is egregious. He's a clown.
Yeah, that's just offensive. He's just going, trying to get a rise out of people there.
Yeah, he's not a Batman guy, but I don't know. I mean, like it's a great movie, and how do you not love Heath Ledger? He says a whole bunch of plot holes and shit like that. I mean, I'm sorry, that's with this one.
Yeah,
I think he'd give this a worse grade. We don't want to have him on for this because this is all about DC, finally getting a little bit of momentum and everything.
Yeah, they got some momentum, so we're gonna go back and celebrate probably their shining moment in cinema history here. Let's get into the categories with the first award, the quote, and here we go award for the most rewatchable scene. Nick, what do you got?
Before we go into that, I would like to let everybody know that Wes came up with our MCU rewatch award names. He has done, after our first DC episode with Mac, he was like, you know what? I got to get new ones, and I'm very pleased with the ones you came up with. We still have the same awards, like most rewatchable scene here for the And Here We Go award, but change the names. Very well done, sir, and you guys will see that as we go on throughout the show.
You certainly know how to make a grown man blush, Nick.
Well, I know way to your heart, and it's definitely compliments. So
it's flattery, yeah.
It's flattery. Well, I think one for me is the first time that we see Batman and him fighting the thugs and what's his name, Scarecrow. We see all the fake Batman, and we get a quote that I don't want to use yet because it's going to come up later on in the quote award that we have. That just always kind of stuck with me. One of the fake Batman gets pissed at Christian Bale's Batman. It's like, what the hell are you doing?
I thought you were going to say, I told you my drugs would take you places. They weren't going to be places you want to go.
Yeah, it's a good one. Scarecrow's
good one.
outstanding. Good to see. We get to see him in each of the 3 movies. I love that. But that was one that jumped out at me. I mean, of course, there's the opening heist scene too. I mean, that's when that happens. It's like, whoa, shit's gonna get real when that first guy gets popped.
It's such a great way. It's not a cold open, but it is a cold open, right? It just kind of feels like you just jump right into the action. Of course, we'll get into this a little later, but it's an homage to Michael Mann's Heat, one of probably the best heist movie of all time. And there's a lot of parallels to Heat between Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. And this Dark Knight here with Batman and the Joker, and the way those two kind of tango and interact and dance throughout the whole movie unfolding. But anyway, so I think that's it's a great tone setter. It immediately kind of gets the blood pumping. And this movie, if there's a theme to it, from what a little bit of research I've done, this movie is about escalation, and you're already starting out at a very high level, and the stakes just keep getting raised up. So I think that's kind of a great way to open up this movie.
Couldn't agree more.
One, the interrogation room scene between Batman and Joker. Again, that's an old timer where he's like, "Don't start with the head. You're gonna, makes the guy all fuzzy." And just again, anytime that those two interact, because believe it or not, they really don't interact all that much, especially in the early half of the movie. It's kind of this cat and mouse game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see what else we got. The Joker meeting with the mob is one that sticks out with you right away. I mean, that one. I don't want to give away my vote early, but sure, I really like that one. That's what we, whether it's when he shows off the bomb or when he's making the one-liners and everything like that. I want half. We start to see the mannerisms too and how friggin' wacko he is. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think he comes out throwing heat. That's really like the first time that you kind of see the Joker in full Joker form. He's coming out with the jokes. He's got the pencil thing. He's got the bomb that he's holding out. That's all rigged to his suit. They mention his suit, and he's like, "Well, you ought to know. You bought it." He's just like throwing heat the whole time.
Mm-hmm. And I thought my jokes were bad.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I think Are we going to get this? Are you just going to pepper in a nice Joker every now and again?
Oh, maybe we'll see.
I voice too. Just keep laying it over. It's good.
Okay.
How about the Chinese abduction scene of Lao? When he goes to China and he's going through that skyrise building there.
It's a good one.
There's some plot holes in it, but I think that's a very entertaining scene.
It's a good one. I wouldn't put it in. It's not getting my vote. That one's not. I wouldn't say necessarily.
How about the continuation of the entire scene of Joker and Harvey Dent in the hospital, going right through to the explosion scene?
Yeah, well, especially when you get Joker walking out and he just looks so friggin' weird the entire time in that nurse outfit. Yeah, that was good. I like that. But
that's a real changing moment in the movie where Harvey Dent turns to the bad side, right? So that's like a very pivotal moment. And this isn't really one that I expect to be in contention. This is kind of more of an honorable mention. But I love the double date dinner scene.
Why don't we get two tables and put them together?
Ballerina, Rachel Dawes. Yeah, because you get that moment. Well, I own it. So I think that's great. And they're talking. He's like, "Oh, well, I didn't know Wayne Manor was inside the county limits." And he's like, "What? The Palisades? Yeah." And there's just like the back and forth is quick, and the way that the camera kind of shoots, like, comes all the way around the table. It's great. Of course, you get the famous line of comparing him to Caesar and Batman to Caesar and all that stuff from Harvey Dent. You either live a hero or die long enough, die a hero or live long enough to become a villain, right?
Yes.
Which again will come up a little bit later in the episode. But I love that whole scene. I think that's just a nice, fun one for me personally. But I'm going with the heist. The heist is me.
Oh, you're going with a heist. Okay. Yeah. I really like the Batman first appearance because, again, there's a line in there. I don't want to use it yet, but I'm going to go with the Joker meeting with the mob. I thought that was awesome. Also, actually, and that leads to later on when Joker takes out, I forget that actor's name, but when he takes him out, the first guy who he does the "Why So Serious" line, which may come up again, right. But that was obviously all kind of goes together.
Gamble.
But, yes. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Right, Gamble. That's the guy's name, right?
Sounds right. He's first crime. Mobster one that dies. Anyways.
Yeah.
All right, that brings us to our next award.
Yeah, and I'm thinking here, maybe this is just throwing it on the spot. Maybe instead of doing like a Twitter poll, like who won the debates, like we have people vote on the awards. Yeah.
Yes. All right. So then I will make sure to highlight the ones that you and I are nominating for the awards. How's that
Yes.
sound?
That
Okay.
sounds
Awesome.
great. I'll highlight
Awesome.
mine too as we do this here.
I got it. You go ahead and read off the next award. You got enough responsibility on your
Okay,
plate.
we're working here. We're live. I forget that sometimes. How about the Michael Keaton Award for what age the best?
Okay.
You want to go first here?
Nope. You got it. You go ahead.
Okay, so how about the un-superhero movie-like feel to it? I think this has aged well and ultimately doomed DC. I think they fell into this trope too much, but I think what makes this movie so rewatchable and so great on a grand level is that it's not really a superhero movie, much like the Rotten Tomatoes critic consensus pointed out. It's a crime thriller that happens to be in a superhero comic book universe, and I think that plays well to everybody. My father likes this movie, and he couldn't give two shits about Superman or Batman or, past the Christopher Reeve Superman.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I mean, because I remember so many people I've talked to over the years that don't care about superhero stuff, but know that I like it in some capacity. They at least like Batman, if nothing else. They like Batman, and it's because of the Christopher Nolan movies that they like Batman. And of course, this one is the consensus best one. I think, honestly, when people look at the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, like the average person who's not into it, like us or our listeners, like in a big way, they think of Dark Knight and they think of Dark Knight Rises. They don't really think of Batman Beyond quite as much. It's a good movie, but it just didn't get that same buzz as this one did. So yeah, I think because he's not looked at necessarily as a superhero and all this, and just a vigilante crime fighter, as much as it's on a large scale in this movie, I think that yes, I agree with you. It's aged. That has aged very well.
Perhaps like a fine wine. And the Change My Mind podcast is a big fan of vigilante justice, whether it's in bat form or in roadside form.
Absolutely.
But the next option, Nick, what do you think?
Well, I think all the Joker's mannerisms throughout all this, where there's
and this could just be the Joker overall, but I think
Yes.
just the overall performance of Heath Ledger.
Absolutely, the face licking, the pauses, the way, even the way he moves his eyes at times, his hands, like everything about him is outstanding. And now for our generation, and I feel like the generation below us, and maybe even not our parents' generation, but like that's the standard for the Joker now. It's like, how does he compare to Heath Ledger? Jack Nicholson had his run and he's great and everything. Don't get me wrong, and I'm sure to use a kind of what a hashtag Dork Shared Universe phrase here, Jack Nicholson had to crawl in order for Heath Ledger so he could walk.
Right, exactly. And the Tim Burton Batman movie is more hokey and kind of like, not realistic.
Mm-hmm. Who's going to be really pissed at us?
Which is great. I love the movie. It's a good time. But obviously the grittiness of this movie and the realism of this movie kind of just enhances that character to another, like, more disturbing level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. So I think the character in general has aged the best. I guess it stood the test of time, and now it's to the point where so many years later, some people think that this movie, if it's not him, if it's like Jared Leto or whatever, this movie's not good at all.
Yeah, and I think we're both in agreement. That's probably our choice here. I think just for to round out the category, the third choice, Batman the Detective. I think this is really the first time that you see some good detective work out of Batman in this, and just kind of trying to figure out who he is, trying to track down Lau. You see him working with Commissioner Gordon using the marked bills. So I think that's a little bit, a nice nuanced scene that you see that's not always present in Batman movies.
So let me ask you, since we're both in agreement, should we put a poll out for this one still, or should we not?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The People's Podcast. I still want their input.
Okay. So so we will still go with all of them. Got it. Okay. So we'll just do all three. Got it. Sounds good. The next award, maybe your best name yet. Here we go. The Bat Nichols Award.
Yeah.
For what? What age is the worst? Where do you want to start?
How about dense burnt face CGI? It's not bad. It just I'm not sure with the creative choice behind it that I like it. It's I know it's supposed to be off-putting, but it just doesn't do it for me.
Okay, I mean, I thought it was fine personally, but I the big thing for the times, I guess.
Wouldn't he just like scab up? Like I feel like he would just be like, and like all the cold air rushing on that exposed burnt skin, like That has to hurt. So, or he like takes like the shot and like the shot goes down. Like that has to burn.
You know,
so much.
it's a good one. It's a good one because you're not gonna see somebody like that now. There's no shot in hell. I think that's actually a pretty fair take on all this. I like it because it's comic book accurate, kind of, as much as the CGI could maybe be better. But that's just not. It's not realistic.
It's still better than what's his name? Why am I blanking on Tommy Lee Jones?
Yes, Tommy Lee Jones. K. I say K from Men in Black.
Yeah, Men in Black. Of course, who could forget?
For me, this is a weird one because I don't necessarily feel this way, but I feel like over the years, people have kind of gotten down. At least the people who are big-time Batman fans, people are kind of down on Christian Bale's Batman voice.
Yeah, this is a good one.
I don't personally feel that way, but everybody else seems to think he's too raspy. But I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I liked it, and at the time, everybody liked it.
Right? It's a whole meme now. You know, it's a whole thing. You know, they do it in Neighbors, right? Zac Efron makes a joke about it. You make the joke about it, much like everyone does a Bane's voice. Everyone has a Christian Bale Batman voice. I don't. That's true. I don't do voices, but you know, you do it enough for the both of us, I think.
Where's Rachel?
Yeah. I don't know.
No,
hopefully no one finds her, right? Am I right?
She's going to be brought up in the course of all this too.
Exactly. Okay. How about Commissioner Gordon, the father? You know, he's a great policeman. He's a great leader. But Commissioner Gordon, the father, when he fakes his own death and doesn't tell his family, just allows his family to be like, "Hey, I'm dead. What's going on?" You know, doesn't let anybody know, and like doesn't get them out of into like witness protection or anything. Like they obviously still know they're his family. Like why don't they get him out? You know, why is his family still living in that like 3rd-story slum?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, he did a shit job in all this. Like I like his portrayal and how he acts and everything. Oh my god, why am I blanking on his name? It's the same guy who plays Sirius Black. Gary Oldman. I think he does. I think he's an outstanding actor. But yeah, he's a frustrating dad. And also, just as a general thing, we see his son more, and we don't see Barbara a whole heck of a lot. I'm just going to throw this out there for everybody, just so you know, in case you don't read the comics. Jim Gordon's son is totally messed up, and Barbara is obviously Batgirl. Sorry if I gave her away secret.
His head by Harvey Two-Face, you know.
Yes, I know, but like I don't give a shit about his son. Like we don't see him that much. He's messed up, but we don't see him a whole heck of a lot.
Well, Commissioner Gordon doesn't give a shit either. I mean, he comes back, and after his coming back from the dead, his son thinks his dad is dead, and he just shows up in his dream. They don't say anything. They don't really hug, and all he asks about is like Batman. He's like, "This time, I actually saved Batman." Not the other way around. Not like, "Hey, I'm alive. It's nice to see you. Sorry about that lie that I told you." You know, like there's none of that.
Yeah, great dad. Number one.
Jim Gordon sleeping on the couch. That's what I think.
That's what you need to strive to be, Wes, when you have kids.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that definitely. Or Ty Burrell from Modern Family. I think that's my ideal, TV dad. Ty
Burrell, which one is he?
He's the tall, lanky guy who's married to the hot blonde.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. I don't have any other ones personally. Do you have a few others?
Yeah. So I a couple others here. People falling from buildings.
Okay.
This doesn't work. Of course, you have Batman saving Rachel. When Joker drops her out of the skyrise, and they just fall into a cab and they're fine. Nothing really broke. They're just fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah, it's cool.
Fine.
And the other one is Sal Maroni getting dropped from. Whatever level of story floor by Batman is trying to get information. And again, looks like he breaks his legs, right? But then Batman jumps down and he does like the superhero landing thing, you know, and he's fine.
He has the cape, dude. His cape allows him to do that.
Okay, sure. But back to Sal Maroni. They show him later when he goes to visit Harvey Dent in the hospital, and he's got like a tiny, puny little walking cane. Like this guy should have his ankles broken. Like he should be in like a fucking wheelchair.
Yeah, that's actually a fair point. Yeah, they should have had him in a wheelchair.
He has like a limp. Like he just like sprained his ankle and like pick up basketball or something.
I guess that's a fair point. Yeah, I didn't think about it that way. So that did age poorly. Good call. Okay.
Yeah. And the last one is Coleman Reese, the CPA. He's played by Joshua Hardo. Just what a rat fuck he is. I mean, really just very unlikable here.
Oh, that guy. The guy who wants to reveal his
Yeah.
the guy who wants to reveal his identity. Oh, that guy's a little friggin' weasel. I'd love to see him his
Yeah, and
face
then
get
he's
punched in.
crying. People are trying to kill me. Like, well, that's what you get, man. Like, yeah, you reap what you
Oh,
sow.
I'm sorry. You want to try and expose a billionaire for being a vigilante? Yeah. What do you think's gonna happen, dude? I mean, I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
right, but shit.
But Lucius Fox has the great retort when all this comes to him. He's like, so you think all this is happening, and your response is to blackmail this person? Good luck. You know, it's great.
Yeah. He's friggin' right.
For me, I think the Bale Batman voice is a good choice. I'm going for people falling from buildings. So
you're going people falling from buildings. Yeah. Okay, we will throw those in there. I may have the third option in this one, just so that we have a. It's because I think you raised a good point with the CGI face thing. So I'm curious to see. Give people the option, right?
Okay. Yeah, of course.
That brings us to the Casting What Ifs Award, also known as the Nick Cage Award.
Yeah, very nice. Now, this might be my mistake. Does Nick have a C or just a K? I think it's Nick. I think I put that spelling N-I-C.
Well, you may have, but guess what? With modern technology...
Oh, we can update it? There we go. I think that's right. I think that looks better for some reason.
That was how it was the entire time. I don't know what you're talking about.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, you could say we will perhaps edit that in post.
Yeah.
But some casting what ifs. You want to take the Joker?
Yeah. So before Heath Ledger was cast in July of 2006, Paul Bettany, I don't know how you say this guy's name.
I don't know who that is. You can pass over him. I just
Lackey Holme. You guys can go look it up. Adrian Brody, Steve Carell, and Robin Williams, pick of the pot, RIP, publicly expressed interest in the role. So, what do you think? Would any of those guys you would have been interested in?
I mean, I'll tell you who I'll throw out right away. It's Steve Carell. 100%. Get out of here with that. Like, that would not have worked.
Okay,
he was very creepy in Foxcatcher, playing like one of the DuPont guys. I think he had like a nose prosthetic, which made him equally creepy. But it was not the creepy of a Heath Ledger. It was like a creepy of like, I don't know, maybe like an uncle who hangs around you too much. It was kind of that vibe, not like sadistic crime agent of chaos.
Okay. I would have thought you would have said yes because of how far out in left field he can be.
No, Paul Bettany could be a good one. Adrian Brody, and I'll also add two cents onto this is that apparently Jack Nicholson was like very offended that he wasn't at least called to like be a part of this.
Really?
Yeah, and that's just like the arrogance of Jack Nicholson, right? Like obviously wouldn't have worked, but he's like, I just wanted to call. Get the
hell out of my face, man. Who gives a shit? I think if any of the guys here that I would have thought could have done it, Bettany's a good actor. Part of me, I don't think Adrian Brody, because he played a weirdo in The Village, and I know it's a shit movie, but I'm not saying he's a bad actor, but I don't know. That one always kind of stuck with me, and I looked at him in a different light. Robin Williams, I don't know if he could have been an agent of chaos like that.
Adrian Brody's an Oscar winner.
I understand that, but still, it doesn't necessarily mean you can take on the role and take on the superhero role, does it?
Does it?
Or villain, whatever. Bettany probably would be my choice of this group.
Yeah, I think you could do a good job with that. So there wasn't too many casting what ifs because this was a sequel, of course, so most of the roles were already defined. And one that wasn't was the Maggie Gyllenhaal. That seemed like in all my research, that wasn't even like a thought. It almost seamlessly. It's like, all right, Katie Holmes had a scheduling conflict. Let's bring in Maggie Gyllenhaal. I'm not even sure if that role was like offered to anybody else. But the other one that I found was the Harvey Dent Two-Face role. So before Eckert was cast in February 2007, a couple of big names here. Liev Schreiber, Ryan Phillippe, and Mark Ruffalo had expressed interest in the role, while Matt Damon stated that he was considered for it but couldn't accept due to scheduling conflicts. And Hugh Jackman was also considered for a role. So just like a star-studded role for what is really one of the pivotal characters in this movie.
Yeah, I don't know how I would have felt about Liev Schreiber as the hero. I can see like the hero side of Harvey Dent, where he was this great guy beforehand. Turning villain, even then, I mean, I look at that, Liev Schreiber, and that's a guy who, I mean, to me, Harvey Dent's always going to hide behind a gun. Like Two-Face is always going to hide behind a gun. And I get a lot of villains do that, but Liev Schreiber, and maybe it's just because of Sabretooth, but I always expect him that he's going to fight with his fists. So I just don't think he has the look for Two-Face Harvey Dent. Maybe Mark Ruffalo. Maybe I could see that. Matt Damon? No, I couldn't.
So I couldn't see Mark Ruffalo as the bad guy, but I could see him as a good beacon of hope, White Knight, Harvey Dent.
But he's still not going to be that hardline guy either, and he kind of needs to be that. So maybe, but Hugh Jackman, no, not a shot in hell. It's the same thing as Liv Schreiber almost. Like, he's too physically intimidating to be Harvey Dent for me.
Yeah. See, I like Matt Damon actually. I think I would be interested to see it. I think almost out of like maybe from a comedy perspective, so maybe that isn't the best choice for it. But I think if you go look to his role in Interstellar, where he plays this really good guy supposedly, and then has this complete heel turn, and like really turns into like the real villain. I think it's that movie. Maybe it's The Martian. I don't know. Maybe I'm screwing up my Matt Damon space flicks here. But anyway, he plays the villain really well and does that heel turn really well. So I think being able to do that duality, in the same role would be something that he could do.
So when we put this one up for the poll for everybody, we will figure out one for the Joker and one for Harvey Dent to keep things simple. That sound good to you, Wes?
Or maybe how about 2 and 2? You know?
2 and 2. Yeah, we'll have this all figured out for you guys afterwards. But anyways, I think there's some pretty good options for both. The Joker one, I'm definitely a little more interested in to see what everybody has to say.
Yeah.
Our next award, getting a little bit away from Batman, the Does Aquaman Have Gills award for unanswerable questions. And you've got a lot of good ones, Wes, but I'm very proud of the one I have.
Well, do you know if Aquaman has gills? Like, is that ever explained how he can breathe underwater?
I got to be honest, I had never had any interest in reading any Aquaman stories. My brother actually read some Aquaman.
Do you think he has like a fish penis? Like, doesn't that go in? Doesn't it just stay inside of them?
Well, I think Atlanteans. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe you have to look up Atlantean anatomy. Merman.
Yeah.
Shit, what is that from?
I'm only, I only really look up, mermaid anatomies in my free time. But maybe for the podcast, I'll brush up on it a little more for next week.
I'd appreciate that. It means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, so let's hear it. What are you so proud of?
Okay, so the big one that I have in this is this all just another one of Patrick Bateman's like hallucinations from American Psycho? Outstanding movie. That's obviously Christian Bale, main character as Patrick Bateman. What do you think, Wes?
I think this is great. I think so. So what we're saying here is Patrick Bateman. Is it a delusion or does he actually kill, Bruce Wayne and just assume his life?
It could be both. I mean, obviously, Bruce Wayne's a bit of a recluse. The only thing you have to wonder is Alfred Pennyworth in all this? But I just think it might be a delusion in some way, and he thinks he's living out this fantasy. And what kind of adds more credence to it, as much as we're seeing Batfleck come back and we're seeing Michael Keaton come back, we're not seeing Christian Bale come back yet.
Point.
So
this didn't even happen.
Didn't even happen.
That's a strong take. You're coming out hot here. That's really good.
Thank you very much.
What do you got? Shared universes here. Since we don't know the Joker's backstory in this, but we do know that he's an agent of chaos, and that term chaos gets thrown around a lot when referring to the Joker. Is Dr. Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park, of course, the creator of the chaos theory, the Joker?
Wow. Well, I think a lot of people would be happy with that. Yeah.
So, and again, this would put Gotham and Isla Nublar in the same universe.
Oh.
So maybe after these events of Jurassic Park, he's become such has a dystopian view of the world. And it's like, you know what? Nothing means anything. I want my chaos theory to be in full effect. This is how I do it.
Yeah,
you can't argue against it. I
wouldn't even know where to begin. And all we do on this show is debate stuff. So
but this is such an out of left field theory that I'm not sure if people would even know how to prepare to argue against it. So I think that works out in my favor.
It just makes too much sense in my mind.
Yeah,
I won't change it.
Well, you could. You might. You're not going to change my mind, but you can try.
You can try.
I have some serious questions about the legitimacy of turning the tumbler into the bat cycle. Like, I'm not a physicist or anything, but this just doesn't make sense how it works. The two front tires are the only ones that are like salvageable, and the whole outside is blown up. Like it took an RPG to the back.
I guess so, but like that's one of those things where I'm just like, yeah, it's comic books or whatever. I mean,
Yeah, no, I know, but the physics that's always like I've never been able to get by that. Usually, I can suspend my
really,
disbelief, but every time I watch it, I'm like, how? How does that happen?
doesn't make any sense.
No, I don't get it.
All right, what else you got for me?
So this is going back to the Lao heist or the Lao abduction scene in China. But how does Batman not get shot by Lao's guards when he's just waiting for the plane to grab him? He's sitting there and I know Lao is in front of him, but he's literally surrounded by all these armed guards. And it seems like they're just waiting there, like looking at each other, like waiting for something to happen. They're just all dumbfounded by like this guy in a cape and a cowl. And it seems like they're waiting for what seems like forever for this plane to fly over and connect to like his parachute.
I think you can explain that one pretty easily. They're afraid to not shoot their boss, and they're not from Gotham. They know who Batman is, but they don't know what he's about. This is the lunatic who's flying around in a bat outfit, and he's intimidating as shit. And he flew all the way from Gotham to China to go and abduct this guy. What the hell is he capable of? So I can understand why they just be like, and shit in their pants.
I don't know, man. These are probably highly paid security teams here. You know, they need to pay more money. You need to get the triad in there or something because those guys, for as highly paid as I'm assuming that they are, you should have someone with a marksman shot.
They need the boys. That's what they need.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. Anyways, you got any more?
Okay, let me see. Okay, so this kind of speaks to the last question. How much time lapses through this movie, do you think?
How much time? Geez. What, a week?
Know, like, because I always wonder, like, you know, he says, the Joker says multiple times that he doesn't have a plan, right? He's like a dog chasing a car. He wouldn't know what to do with it if he caught it, right? But how long do you think the Joker was planning all of this? Like, these are some, like, very intricate plans, like, especially the heist. Like, everything has to go right. You think of, like, the school bus backing in and then pulling out with the rest of the school buses to like just blend in plain sight and be able to get away with everything. You know, like, I don't know. It's a lot of moving parts. I think this huge plan that he had, building the bomb with the detonator and all this stuff, like, I don't know. I feel like this takes a lot of planning.
Yeah. Yeah, it does take a lot of planning. I don't know how long this took. That's a good point. I don't know. I always
that
felt like
comes up in like The Dark Knight Rises when Batman breaks his back and then is like seemingly off in another country in the hole.
And I imagine those are the things that Mac probably gets bugged by when he talks about plot holes in some of these movies. But I think that was also a time where people just kind of accepted things. Now you can't get away with that shit without showing like a subtitle at the end of it all. I actually thought of one more in the course of all this. The discussion of the Does Aquaman Have Gills Award. So I may be getting his name wrong, but David Dashmal Dachmal, whatever.
Yeah, he's in the Suicide Squad.
He's in the Suicide Squad, but more importantly, because Suicide Squad hasn't come out yet, so I don't want to go and try and make connections to there just yet. Maybe it makes more sense. I don't give a damn. He's also in Ant-Man. He is one of Scott Lang's buddies. He's the one who talks about the Baba Yaga. So is he now this kind of goes away from this is a fake thing, it's all Patrick Bateman made up. Does this character, and I believe he's Thomas Schliff is his name, Thomas Schiff, he's an Arkham patient, was all of Ant-Man just a hallucination of his that didn't really happen? And he's kind of retelling the story to his psychologist, and he just inserts himself in a couple moments because it's really more about.
I feel like your Patrick Bateman and this one is just the same thing, but you're just inserting different subjects.
Well,
and if it were me, I would stick with the Patrick Bateman one.
Well, I mean, but you know what, Wes? How do we know either one isn't necessarily the case?
Well, that's true. We don't know.
So I'm just throwing out all possibilities because this is a movie about a detective at the end of it all, and until you can disprove those theories, you have to look at that as a legitimate option, right?
I guess so. Sure. You know, who am I? Yeah, I just said fucking Dr. Ian Malcolm is the Joker. So what ground do I really have stand on?
Well, we're doing normally we do the order portion of the podcast when we do our debates. This is the law portion of the Change My Mind podcast.
Yes,
we are the law and order of podcasts.
I see a possible shirt. That's me.
We gotta make that stick. All right.
Special victims unit. There's a play on that somewhere.
Oh God, no. Maybe we stay away from that part of it.
Yes, sure. Maybe we'll do criminal intent. Maybe not SVU.
Dude, I didn't realize that one. I didn't really watch that one much. That one lasted like 10 years too.
It's a good show. It's a good one.
And it's not even a fraction of the other two. It's like, holy shit, it was 10 years.
Yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio and the coach from D2 the Mighty Ducks. The filling coach, the teacher.
Yeah. What the frick?
What are you waiting for? The ice to freeze?
Yeah, I can't remember her name.
Yeah,
I remember seeing her in other shit too. There's a lot of us. I forgot she was in that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll make sure.
Yeah, so you do Patrick Bateman and Dr. Ian Malcolm. I think those are our two options here.
Okay, then that brings us to my favorite award that we do, the Best Quote Award, the You've Got Me, but Who's Got You award.
Yes. You've got me, but who's got you? You know what that's from?
Mm-mm.
It's the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. Don't worry, ma'am. I got you. You got me. Who's got you?
Yep. Damn it. All right. Well, I'm going to move past that. What is the first one is actually
bored, so
yes, this is also true. What is your first nominee?
Okay, so of course, I think the first one comes to mind are a couple of Harvey Dent quotes. One I already mentioned: "You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain." That is used all the time. It is used in rap songs. It is used in everything. Right? Such a great line. Can be applied to many different scenarios. Right. Much like this one, when he's given his speech right before he declares himself as the Batman, which I have a little bit of a problem with. I am the Batman. But he says, "The night is darkest just before the dawn." Again, at that moment, it's great. That scene I have a little bit of a problem with just because you have like the 5 New York cops who are in the background who just chime in, which just says,
right.
Yeah, oh yeah, no more dead cops.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, no more dead cops.
No more dead cops.
That's more like a Boston accent, actually.
I know. I apologize. Well, whatever.
No, you got it. It's the same thing.
You've got the Alfred quote. Some people just want to watch the world burn. I think it's a great one too. There's one obvious one that I think we should save for the end because I think we both need to try and do the voice. I know you're a master impressionist like I am, so I'd like to hear you try this one. But first, I mentioned this earlier. The first scene where we see Batman and we see all the fake Batman, where you have the fat guy who asks, "What gives you the right? What's the difference between you and me?" And Batman says, "I'm not wearing hockey pads." To me, that is perfect. It's like you freaking asshole. What's the difference between me and you? You're a fucking moron walking around with a gun and you have no idea what the hell you're doing and you're gonna get yourself killed. I just saved your friggin' life. What do you think's the difference? Oh, and I drive a Tumbler. How about that?
Yeah, and this guy looks like he, was a little doughy in the midsection there. I'm not sure how agile it was.
A little bit, but there's one obvious one for all this, and it comes from the Joker. Would you like to go first?
Why so serious?
I think that's pretty good.
That's not bad, huh? No, I'm tone deaf, so that's.
No, that's good. Why so serious?
Yeah, that's good.
That's more
I know how I got these scars. I think that's another good one. But I think why so serious? The marketing campaign behind that, the T-shirts,
right?
All the losers in college who dressed up like them, like Joker every Halloween.
Yeah, of course.
Was like oddly into the Joker, like too into the Joker, like
right.
Dylan Roof into the Joker.
That quote, that gif gets used a little bit sometimes now. I think the one that's the most popular one though is
you like that a lot.
I love that one, but the "and here we go" is a great one too. And then the clapping one from the prison cell is another one that I think that's one I use probably the most.
Yeah.
Maybe of any GIF on Twitter, but yeah, I think the obvious one is "Why so serious." I mean, I honestly still use that in regular conversation.
Oh yeah,
I think that too. By the way, why so serious?
Definitely not a nomination, but this is just a nice little like slight quip that I like from Alfred. But when Alfred and Harvey Dent meet for the first time at his at Bruce's charity or whatever that he's throwing for
charity,
and Harvey goes, "Oh, you've known Rachel her whole life, right?" And he's like, "Oh, not yet, sir." that was like a nice, like quick, like it didn't even like skip a beat. He just kind of comes back and he's like still holding the champagne tray.
Yeah,
that's like the type of like quippy Michael Caine Alfred that I like.
Yeah, that is a good one. That's a good one. What was I gonna say? I still use so with Where's Rachel, there also comes the Where is she? And I use that sometimes too in the course, but that's not really along the same lines, I would say.
Right.
Because Why So Serious? I mean, we'll put out a poll on this, but that one's as open and shut, I think, as any of them.
I think so.
That
I would nominate you either die a hero or live long enough to become a villain. That would be mine.
Okay.
Outside of why I know that's what we'll choose, but just to have another one on there.
Sounds good. All right, this one we didn't need to change the name because it's basically what our show is about, other than debating. What does it all mean? Award, and this is more for the Easter eggs.
Yes, yeah, and potential tie-ins to other movies or things like that. So this I thought was kind of nice. So the Joker's name tag on his nurse outfit says Matilda, which is a nod to Ledger's then infant daughter. I believe she's like 11 years older now or something. But I thought that was kind of a nice little tie-in there.
That is a nice one. This is another good Joker one too. His mask in the heist was the one used by Cesar Romero. You get some really good finds with this stuff.
It's
you really
just Wikipedia, and this is some good between this and the Lois Lane Internet Sleuth Award, which we'll get into. That might be my personal favorite new title.
It's it's a good one. I like that one more personally.
Yeah, absolutely. And okay, so how about Bruce talking to Lucius about changing the cowl to be able to turn his head? This is a nod, if you will. I will in this case to previous bat suits that couldn't move their necks at all.
Yeah, I like that.
Kind of like a wink, wink, nudge. Like we get it.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's well done. I like that one. That would make it my vote. The Batman opening of the bat symbol in flames apparently alludes to Alfred's statement, "Some men just want to watch the world burn," which is a great quote, by the way. We didn't give that enough credit in that last section, but that is an awesome one too.
Yeah, I think that's a quote that gets played during the trailer. It's kind of like an overlay through some of the actions. Some men just want to watch the world burn. So that is a good one. That one felt like a little bit of a stretch. I wasn't entirely sure if I should put that on there. Seems like, but you can make it work. This one I love. This would probably be my nomination. The aforementioned Coleman Reese, the CPA rat who discovers Batman's identity, is an employee at Wayne Enterprises. So stick with me here, right?
Okay.
And he pieces together clues that Bruce Wayne is Batman. And when he confronts Lucius about it, Lucius calls the guy Mr. Reese. Or Mr. Reese.
Oh, God.
So is he the Riddler?
Oh, that's such a... That is one of your reaches that I'm not a fan of.
Yeah, I thought that was great. And that came up from multiple sources.
Well, I mean,
he's no enigma,
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, you're not far off because Edward Enigma, that wouldn't be too much reach. Excuse me. And given what we saw in The Dark Knight Rises, where Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character's actual name is Robin, which is a total bunch of bullshit. That was like, as a kid, because I saw those, I was. That one came out, and I think it was either way. I was like, "Oh, it's just cool that you get an idea of Robin." I just was stupid and didn't think about it as an adult. What the fuck was that shit? That was That's one of the worst things that they did. I don't hate that movie like everybody else, but that was freaking brutal. The way they handled that character. But another thing, you know what? Why don't you take this one because I don't know how to say the third word.
You never heard of this?
Nope.
Bruce Wayne's Lamborghini Murcielago.
Nope, never heard of it.
You've never heard of a Murcielago?
Nope, I've heard of Lambos.
You've seen it, yeah. Well, that's what it is. Yeah, so when he's catching up to Reese that he's driving during like the chase down scene. Murcielago is Spanish for bat.
Oh, what does it all mean?
Pretty cool.
I don't know.
Pretty cool. So
I've always said if I had fuck you money, I would get a Lambo. And
you got to be able to pronounce it first.
Now I know I'm going to get a Murcielago, though. I didn't know which kind of Lambo. This is the one I would get.
Lamborghini Mercy, yo chick, she's so thirsty.
Oh, that's where that comes from. Okay. Yeah. When's our next PCP change my mind rap? Not battle.
I think we're going to be doing OG Octobers while everyone is doing Dorktober, horror. Macabre and Ghoul. That's it.
Does that mean that Rossi and I are going to have to do something together, and while you and Billy D do something on one of the shows? Is that what's going to happen?
I think you guys do like a Big Brother real world type thing where you just put cameras up in an apartment, 1-bedroom apartment, and you live together like the Odd Couple.
Oh God, yeah, it sounds like the thing is that
it's just a live stream. You can just check in anytime you want.
Oh, that would
you can never see.
Standing if I had to spend that much time with Rossi. Christ almighty. All right. We'll figure out the nominations for this one. Let's move on to the Lois Lane Internet Sleuth Award. Oops, I got to pull it up. My apologies for those watching.
Oh, there we go.
For the internet research on the movie, these are all Wes's findings. He does a great job with this every time, so please, Wes, take it away.
So obviously much gets said about the Heath Ledger performance and everything that kind of goes into the mindset of becoming the Joker. It's been talked about with Jack Nicholson. It's been talked about with Cesar Romero, obviously with Ledger, and then quite famously and disgustingly with Jared Leto. So a couple things here. Ledger directed the homemade videos aired on GCN to give them a more amateur feel, which I thought was awesome. That's a cool little nugget.
That's awesome.
Because those are like very disturbing. Like very disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
He also locked himself in a hotel room for 6 weeks with a journal, the source material, and practice his voice and laugh. I would hate to see the smell of that room, what that looks like. The journal that Ledger created during his time of isolation was full of various in-character ramblings and inspirations. It included photographs of hyenas, stills from A Clockwork Orange, clown makeup designs, some writing from the perspective of the Joker, including a list of things he thought were funny, AIDS and geniuses suffering from brain damage among them. On the cover, the words "the Joker" appeared along with a picture of an elephant and a man in a hat on a checkered floor. And on the last page, "Bye Bye" was written in large letters.
I'll tell you what, there's a lot of messed up shit in that, but A Clockwork Orange is a very, very disturbing movie.
Yeah, I would say Bye Bye was at the end of it. I mean, obviously knowing what we know now about his overdose, or it was ruled an accident, but it was speculated to be a suicide, and that definitely doesn't be a good image for that.
Nope.
Here, you mentioned one of your favorite gifts, the sarcastic clap. That was improvised when Gordon is named commissioner. He also improvised the hospital explosion scene when he's walking out, and it was, as the story goes, the detonator was supposed to go off, and then there was a real malfunction, and that was on the fly. Heath Ledger tapping it a couple times and kind of giving it like an awkward look, and then it goes off, and they just kept that because it was such a good scene.
Did not know that.
Yeah,
dude, he did such a freaking amazing job. It's too bad because who knows what the hell he could have continued to do, not just as the Joker, but this was such a breakout role for him. I know he was already good, but damn.
Yeah, no, I mean, Oscar-worthy performance, of course. He never went full Joker until filming started. So co-stars like Michael Caine and Maggie Gyllenhaal said, after the shooting and everything, that they were generally disturbed when he turned it on for the first time on set.
Really?
Great. So you get that genuine emotion. You think of when Maggie Gyllenhaal first kind of sees the Joker in that Bruce Wayne penthouse party. That's some genuine fear for the first time. So I think that's
true. Cool. They don't have to, like you said, they don't have to cross paths a whole heck of a lot, him and Batman. So I could see how that would freak them the hell out. Suck it, Jared Leto, by the way. I get everybody's got their own process, but you're going to send people like dead animals or whatever.
Yeah, used condoms.
You don't need to do that shit. So there's method acting, but to me that's just, I don't know. That's
Jared Leto's just a try hard. That's all.
I agree with that.
Harvey Dent's purpose of the movie is just to keep away from the Joker's emotional arc and backstory. So this is from, I believe, Christopher Nolan, or maybe it's Jonathan Nolan, who his brother who wrote the script. We wanted him to be absolutely threatening and what he represents as a force of anarchy. And here's this word again, chaos. That's really the reason for Harvey Dent's prominence in the film. It's his story that has to provide the emotional backbone of the film. Which makes so much sense, right? It keeps the mysterious, unknown level of the Joker, which adds to that overall disturbing scariness that he brings, and then still gives you that villain and that emotional arc that you're looking for in place of not getting the Joker backstory.
That's friggin' brilliant. That's freaking brilliant. I love that. That's
that's something else, right?
that might be my favorite one. I mean, the other ones are really cool. Don't get me wrong, but now knowing that, I mean, not that I question Harvey Dent's like just looking at it though from like a creative perspective. Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's a nice touch, right? I never really thought about it before. Maybe that's just us like not like going below surface level on that.
Now we're looking at it as a critic. Like we look at these things, we still enjoy them, but we look at it like critically and seeing what a creator can do in that situation. That's just I have much more appreciation for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything's done for a reason, right?
Right.
Including Katie Holmes choosing to do Mad Money with co-star Queen Latifah over The Dark Knight. That was her scheduling conflict. She says that she doesn't have any regrets.
Oh well, good for you, Katie. What are you doing now?
She probably has a couple regrets. I'm not sure if they're about The Dark Knight, but maybe out of Scientology. I don't know.
Maybe just a little bit.
During the 15 months that preceded, I like this one a lot. During the 15 months that preceded the film's release, Warner Brothers shared online pamphlets of Harvey Dent running for office and the Joker's modifications to those pamphlets, distributed dollar bills that the Joker had written on, and created a website for Gotham City or Gotham Cable News. Most of all, it launched the iconic Why So Serious campaign, which all helped The Dark Knight into the first major motion picture to have a truly viral online marketing campaign. How awesome is that? So again, the Why So Serious campaign, the idea of just kind of having that outline, that silhouette of the Joker's face, right? That became very prominent. And then I love the stuff of like Harvey Dent running for office. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, so they're just distributing it out to the masses and stuff like that.
So it was just out there. Yeah,
that's so cool. That part even gets me even more because as much as it's impressive that they had the first like viral movie campaign and everything, that is impressive. But now we would never see people handing shit out like that. Not just because of the COVID stuff. Like even before that, it's just what you see now.
Everything's digital, right? You just see it on Twitter. Like a Twitter account gets made for Harvey Dent. Vote for Harvey Dent 2020, and all these Twitter tweets come up, right? Exactly. But I wouldn't say. I'm not sure if that's entirely accurate for the first major motion picture. Because I remember when Independence Day came out, Fox had a live airing of with like footage from the movie that looked like a news report of like alien invasions. And I remember seeing that as a kid and it freaked me out, but I could not wait for that movie to come out like all at the same time. It was really well done. Yeah. That one like stayed with me for years.
Okay.
I mentioned Heat serving as inspiration for this movie when Nolan previously mentioned Michael Mann by name. Again, I don't know if you've seen Heat, Nick, but the relationship between Al Pacino and Robert De Niro in this film, I think very much mirrors Bruce Wayne, Batman, and the Joker. They kind of, again, as I mentioned earlier, do this dance and they need one another to kind of coexist. And without one, the other is not really complete. So I think that's much of what Heat is about. These two aging detectives who are like very much the same, but on opposite ends of the spectrum, who rely on one another to keep their lives going because everything else is falling apart.
Okay. That makes sense.
I really enjoyed that. It was the first major film filmed for IMAX.
Didn't know that.
Specifically for IMAX. I thought that was great. And the last one, some people know this already. The movie was filmed in Chicago and not in New York City, like they did in Batman Begins.
That one I actually did know. Then the third one I think is in Pittsburgh, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I believe they use the Three Rivers. I think they do some filming in New York as well. Oh, okay. But they use not Three Rivers. What's the stadium there? The football stadium.
Oh, that's a Pittsburgh. Yeah, where the Steelers play. You know what it is? I don't give a shit stadium. We're gonna have to figure out how to condense these for the polls because we only get 25 characters. But there are definitely some good ones.
Maybe we just omit that one. Maybe that's just not an award. We just share. That's something that's
okay.
Just for the listeners.
Honestly, Wes, that one may be the best one you've done so far for the Sleuth, and you've had some ones that really stood out to me.
It's a big one.
Yeah, it's a big important. But you know what? You do find a lot of tidbits when we do this stuff, and sometimes it's harder than others. But this one, you really dug deep, and I think there's a lot of good Heath Ledger stuff. Like some of the things we knew that I knew he was messed up. The bye-bye thing rings a bell, but some of this other shit I did not know. The Harvey Dent, like the significance of having him there, I just thought it was why not have two villains when you can have them. It's not that at all, and that's a brilliant move. And there's some other stuff. I mean, like look, the Katie Holmes thing. Like, yeah, you sound like an idiot, but like she does. But some of those other things are really impressive that you found those. So I like those.
Once again, the quickest way to my heart and in my pants is flattery. So I'm just channeling my my inner Lois Lane here. That's all.
Now, sticking to the journalistic theme, although this has nothing to do with reporting or photography for that matter, the Jimmy Olsen Award, Best Performance by a Side Character. Interesting that this is the side character you chose to honor, by the way, Jimmy Olsen, who I could personally give a shit about.
I was just trying to think of something. I didn't want this to be too Batman-centric. I could have easily done Alfred Pennyworth. I think he's like the ideal side character that comes to mind. Maybe Martha Kent. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. We did a lot. You got a lot of Superman and Batman in here. It's not a lot of variation, but that's fine. Either way,
true. That's a good point. Actually, that's a really good point. Aquaman have gills.
Yep, Aquaman. You got Aquaman in there, but everything else. I mean, even the next two.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
But you know what? That just shows you're more of a Marvel guy, and that's what it comes down to.
Yeah,
you're the one did these. I still like them. I still like the ones. The Batman nipples one. That one's a great one. All right, who are the candidates for the Jimmy Olsen Award?
So for Best Performance by a Side Character, first up is Eric Roberts, who played the role of Sal Maroni. I just love him as the Italian guy. Just a classic slick talking, never really phased. Like he's never phased by Batman or like the Joker. Like he always kind of looks at him. He has this great scene in the club where Batman comes to see him right before he throws him off the building. Where he's in the nightclub and the girl's talking to him and she's like, "Do you want to go someplace where we can talk?" And he's like,
"Yeah."
"What makes you think I want to hear you talk?" It's just like such a classic scumbag, mobster type of feel. And again, he kind of has that slick, like when he's about to get arrested by Commissioner Gordon, he's like, "You sure you want to embarrass me in front of all my friends, detective?" It's like he's just never fazed by anything. I love that.
He does a great job. And when I think back to Batman Begins, obviously Batman Begins doesn't stick as much with you and I think most people, as The Dark Knight does. But considering how good Dark Knight was and how Harvey Dent, Joker, and Batman and some of these other characters stick out to us, even Rachel Dawes, as much as we don't like her because Maggie Gyllenhaal is not exactly Katie Holmes. Falcone. Sal Maroni stands out to me so much more than Carmine Falcone does in his performance and everything, and honestly, his appearance too. I mean, Falcone is seems more like a polished mob boss, I guess. When you think about it, he's so old and different. Maroni, Eric Roberts was outstanding, and he's one of the characters I think of with this movie for sure.
Yeah. And when it comes to side characters, for the other crime boss that comes to mind is Chechen. Was played by Richie Koster. And Chechen, of course, is the Russian guy with the slick back hair and the dogs. My dogs are hungry. I mean, this guy, again, is just, pedaled to the metal throughout this whole movie. He's way over the top, chewing the scenery. When he gets arrested, he's eating, cutting into his chicken cutlet or something like that. And he chokes when they grab him up and you just kind of see him. He's like, it's just the little stuff like that I just think is funny. He's like, "So we hired the clown." Like, he was right. We hired the clown. And the whole thing about the money, it's like hungry dogs. That's another great line that Joker says, I forget, I don't have the wording of it, but then we'll see how loyal a hungry dog really is or something like that.
Okay.
So I think he does a really nice job as the Chechen there.
Good one.
This one is a little lesser known. I didn't even know his name, but this is a character played by Keith Sarabajka. I don't know if I pronounced that right. I feel strong.
I think you're good. Yeah.
But he played the role of Stevens, which is the detective who goes into the interrogation room with the Joker, and then comes out getting held up. Right. So he's the one that Joker's talking about, saying do you want to know how many of my friends have you killed? I've killed 6 of them. Do you want to know which ones were cowards? And that whole conversation and I think he just plays the classic kind of no bullshit type of cop. And it's a small role. It probably doesn't beat out the Chechen or Sal Maroni in this.
Yeah.
But I thought it was worth mentioning. And the other one I liked was the mayor. It was played by Nestor Carbonell. I thought he was kind of interesting. When he goes out and gives Commissioner Gordon, he's like, "You're taking the big job tomorrow." I think he's kind of over the top.
Not a big fan of it.
When the Batman comes, the dead Batman comes into his, starts hanging from the outside the building. That conversation that he has with Harvey Dent about being our target on your back now. I thought that was kind of interesting.
I think he does a good job, but part of him doing a good job is me thinking he's a Weasley dink. and that's what he is.
Yeah,
So,
I think my choice is the Chechen.
Okay.
That's probably my choice for it.
I'm going with Sal Maroni on this one, so I think we're in a good spot here. It was so much so with Sal Maroni too. When I watched Gotham, and Maroni was in it, I was like, he
was in Gotham?
Yeah, Maroni and Falcone are in it because it's all
Wow.
pre-Batman stuff. So like this is like the I forget that actor's name, the banker guy with the gun at the beginning of the movie.
Oh, he's really good too. I mean, that's a oversight on my part. The bank manager.
But like when he said how criminals in this town used to have like honor, a code, all this freaking bullshit. Like that's all that era. So those guys are all about that stuff. But Maroni,
your guys are dead.
Yeah. That's right. He should be a side character.
We'll put him on the poll there. How about that? We'll find that out retroactively.
Yeah, we don't know his name at all or anything, but he definitely. I mean, honestly though, the bank manager. The actor though has been around enough that we should know his name.
Yeah, he's that guy. He's always like, I know who that is. I've seen him around. But
I'm gonna find that one as you roll through your first Henry Cavill Mustache Award, which goes to who lost the movie.
Yeah, so first, I would go with Coleman Reese. That rat fuck. That's an overall theme. That's just a good way to describe him. He looks weaselly. He looks like he had a bad acne problem in high school. Like, I'm not even sure if Hollywood makeup could cover that up, which is, that probably tells you a little bit about how bad that problem was. He wasn't very proactive, I guess. But yeah, just because he's a little rat, and then he has to run and hide, and then cries when everyone wants to kill him.
He's a little weaselly rat.
Stitches, in fact, do get stitches.
This is very true. And to make good on what I said before, the actor who was in Prison Break as Alexander Mahone, and I think he was also the quarterback for the prison for the guard team. Oh my God, what's the name of that movie with Adam Sandler? That was a remake for football. Longest Yard. This is William Fichtner.
Okay.
So William Fichtner Jr. Pardon me. So there you go. Yes. So you mentioned Reese. Obviously Rachel is a no-brainer. My portrayal by Maggie Gyllenhaal. That to me is like a no-brainer. She's just. I follow up Katie Holmes. You got to play the same character, and it's like you're so whiny all the time. And honest to God, I think that you can people of all shapes and appearances and looks and backgrounds, whatever you can have, whatever you want. I'm sure I'm missing other things. You can take on different roles. All power to you. But she just looks like a sad, miserable person all the friggin' time. Like her personality, I'll give her this. She wears a personality on her face. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but that's a fact. And honestly, I don't think I like her personality that much, Wes. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is necessarily Maggie Gyllenhaal's fault. I think she definitely brings a little bit more livelihood to the character than what Katie Holmes brought. So I don't really see Katie Holmes as like an eccentric,
actress.
What's the word? But not extroverted character. I think Maggie Gyllenhaal kind of brings the extrovertness a little bit better, but it's a poorly written role. She's really just nothing more than a damsel in distress who's asked to pick between the villain and the hero. She's not really asked to do a whole lot. So I think part of this is the role, and again, you're just kind of having two lackluster, not people that not actresses that people get excited about seeing play the role. So it's a little just kind of forgettable.
Yeah.
And this might be an honorable mention, but just the following run of DC movies, maybe with The Dark Knight Rises excluded from this, but again, this movie's kind of set the tone for better or for worse for DC movies of being this kind of gritty, rooted in realism, unlike MCU, which had fun colors and jokes and quippy lines and that sort of thing. This is going to be dark. And I think that really worked against them in this.
Yeah, well, especially when you're trying to use Superman, and Wonder Woman was good, but just in general, when you're trying to use these high-powered characters that are like gods, and you're going to make it all gritty and everything.
Or Aquaman, who is like the wimpiest character ever, right? He's like the running joke in the comic book series, and then suddenly he's like, wearing jeans and is like a ripped.
Yeah, see, I don't hate the decision they made there because he does. I think he sucks as a character.
No, he needed to get spiced up.
Either way,
too dark. Like, it should be a fun movie. Same thing with Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman should have been a fun movie.
Wonder Woman was a fun movie. You're like one of the 15 people in the
man.
world that
World
doesn't
War
like
II
this
was
movie.
very fun.
Well, I mean that's fine. I'll grant you that. But when
Or
you have
one.
the Amazon
World
on
War
your
One.
side, if you have the Amazon on your side, it kind of makes things go a little bit more smoothly. But in general, you're gonna do dark, gritty. Part of the reason it works is because Batman is just a man. So why not use the Bat Family? I don't
There we
know.
go. Oh,
Yeah,
that's an idea.
been saying
That's
that.
an original idea.
Yeah, well, one I've been saying for years. But anyways, I think my vote goes to Maggie. Your vote goes to Reese.
Yeah, Coleman Reese. Yep.
Okay, and then that brings us to our final award of the program, the Snyder Stands Award for Who Won the Movie.
Yeah,
Well,
and this, just to explain that title, right? Because the Snyder Stands, they won, right? They got their way. I think that was the thought process behind that.
it's probably your best. Henry Cavill one's a good one. Bat Nipple one's good. This is one of your better ones, though. This one makes perfect sense to me because they
Okay.
whined and complained and they got exactly what they wanted. I think everybody's going to go. I think we all know what the top nominee is, and we'll save that towards the end. But Christopher Nolan is one. I
Yeah.
think his profile as a director, I think, really took a step up. Where now people, I don't know if people say it's because of Batman movies. Personally, if I see Christopher Nolan's name on a movie, I'm interested because of the Batman movies, specifically this one.
Okay, so I'm just going to run through some things that he's done and what he's done since, right? So his first movie, Memento, in 2000, that was his first major screenplay. Then he did the screenplay for Batman Begins in 2005. 2006, The Prestige, fantastic movie. Awesome. That, right?
Amazing.
The Dark Knight in 2008. And then after 2008, he goes Inception, Dark Knight Rises, Man of Steel, Interstellar, Dunkirk, Tenet.
Yep, that's right.
So that's he's Batman. The Dark Knight may be his what Bill Simmons likes to use in the Rewatchable podcast as his apex mountain. Like this is his highest point, and it brought him all these great other titles that came up afterwards.
Yep, absolutely.
Not that he was coming down on Dark Knight Rises or Dunkirk or Interstellar, but those getting the Dark Knight and the success of the Dark Knight allowed him to have success in those other movies. That makes sense.
Absolutely.
Change the trajectory, if you will.
I don't know. So obviously, Mac and Goo do their Mac and Goovy Vault. We try and kind of go by the genres and the comic book movies that we all love, specifically sticking to those and pick the ones we want. PCP kind of seems to just pick whatever rewatches they want to do. They should absolutely do one on The Prestige. I think that one's outstanding, and it's such. I mean, oh god, that was such a good movie. I remember seeing it as a kid, where I still kind of got confused by it because I didn't.
But that's the great thing about it. You go back and watch it, you pick up other things, right?
It's
like, I didn't even know a whole nother reason why you love the movie.
I know they listen to the show. Of course, we listen to theirs and we appreciate it. If you do a rewatch on that, please consider me for that episode because I could use an excuse to go back and watch it. I haven't seen that in a while. Such a good movie.
Yeah, on his knees.
What?
You're on your knees. You're begging.
Yeah, exactly. What else we got here? Who else do you want to nominate?
Aaron Eckhart. Again, much for the reason that we pointed out after the fact that we knew that his story arc was so important to the film and everything like that. But I thought he did a really good job. And when looking back and when we did the casting what ifs of those other big name, pretty much A and B list celebrities to do this secondary role. I couldn't see anyone else. I thought he did such a great job because he pulls off the politician so well. Yeah. He's kind of that douchey, smart, arrogant, smartest person in the room type of thing, and is very, very confident through it all. Yeah. And then you see how jaded he gets after that. And he turns that rage, that wrongfulness, that what's the word that I'm looking for? I don't know. I'm blanking on it now. But he feels like he was wrong. So now he wants to go out and right. I love that. I think he did a very good job. When he does,
one of my favorite moments from him is when he asked Gordon in the hospital what the nickname was they had for him when he was in.
Say it.
Yeah, say it. He's
Major Crimes.
Yeah,
that's what it's called. Major Crimes. MCU.
Major Crimes.
They say MCU a lot in this movie. Actually, it kind of throws me off.
Okay, well there you go. Oh, but yeah, say it. So, shit. But then I think the obvious winner for this, and we can put up a poll. I don't even know if we should. It might be embarrassing if we put up a poll for this one. But the obvious winner for this, as much as he passed away and wasn't able to soak in all the glory for his amazing performance, but Heath Ledger is the winner of this movie without question.
Yeah, I mean, he is the movie. Some people will knock this movie because the Joker carries so much. It's not really a Batman story. It's more of a shared thing. I think I've heard Matt or Goo say this, which I can understand that. But this is absolutely like he deserves that. That role is so dominating and so commanding. It demands everybody's attention that I don't know how you come away with this without him being the winner of the movie.
Here's how we do the poll. Who's the winner? Heath Ledger, and then the other option, the Joker.
Oh, wow. Really blow their minds, huh?
Yes, it's going to piss some people off.
Will we change anyone's mind?
No, I don't know. Mac's the only mind I think we have to change when it comes to this movie because everybody else is fairly logical in their approach to The Dark Knight, which that concludes our rewatch of this in the awards ceremony. Thank you all for joining us. Yeah. Wes, what has been going on with you over in the quarantine corner?
Well, I played a little bit of golf. I've been going out there every week or so, just about at least once a week. Whaling City Country Club this week with my old college buddy Mike Tarantino. I thought that was a real slummy track, but it's a Donald Ross course, and it's been revamped over the years and everything. Good. But it's actually in pretty good condition. I was surprised. I thought it would be all burnt and poorly maintained, but it was a nice course. I'm having trouble off the tee all year. I'm in my head. It's a whole mind game. The one place I was very comfortable. I played 3-on-3 basketball for the first time since quarantine.
Nice.
And it was great to get back out there again. I'm a little slow. My lateral speed isn't where it should be, but I went on a 4-point tear, Nick. When the team was down, I pulled us out in front. We were down 3. I pulled us out in front there with a 4-point run with a dribble drive penetration, left hand, head down, just bully ball my way for a layup. And then go finesse with a baby hook on the very next play, and then catch and shoot off the screen from the wing, Trey in the face, which of course 2 points, going 2s and 1s here. 4-point unanswered run. It felt great. Of course, we're playing Make It Take It, so that all happened synonymously.
For those who don't know, on the Cape, Wes is known as the left-handed Giannis. So.
Yeah. I feel like I'm the lucky lefty. Yeah, that's all.
Sure. The lucky lefty. Okay. Yeah. That may be a better description.
Yeah, Ground Jordan, they also call me.
Ground Jordan, I like that.
Right,
that is a good one.
That's a good one.
That is perfect.
I would say a poor man's Kelly Olynyk.
That's
a big man who doesn't rebound but plays down low and just is all finesse. That's and likes to shoot the 3 probably more often than he should.
Yeah.
And I watched on Netflix Mr. Peabody and Sherman. Which was I just put it on. Delightful. You got a good history lesson in there. Mr. Peabody seems like someone who I would be okay adopting me if they were a dog. He seems like a great father figure. So I loved it. It was fun. I was pleasantly surprised.
Would you put it in the 80s, you think? 70s?
So I still have to finish it. I fell asleep through it. So, but so far, I would say in the 80s.
But you fell asleep, Wes.
Well, it was late. It was after a few drinks at dinner. Things happen.
Okay, so tentatively in the 80s.
Yeah.
Tentatively in the 80s.
Tune in next week for the official score. How's that?
Ooh, yeah. Okay. Maybe we'll do a review on that. So I've just had a lot of basketball going on because, part of my job is covering the NBA and everything, whether it's the Nets or the Celtics. So been watching a lot of that. Obviously, the Nets are done. But all this talk of basketball is making me think, Wes, we need to have a Dork Shared Gooniverse basketball tournament. I had one from one of my other shows, and we should just do it, though, with the what would it be? The 8 of us, and I don't know what we're going to do with Dr. Joe because...
No, it would be Doc and Shine. It would be the stream team.
That's right. Dr. Joe and Shine would be the stream team. Absolutely. So we have a 5-team tournament. We figured all out how we're going to do it. I'm sure we could get something to go, and then 2-on-2 the whole way, and we just stream the entire thing.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, and whoever is losing does commentary because one of my favorite things from the Bradford Wiggy, one-on-one tournament was not the actual content going on. And Mutt was good, but it was Keith. I thought Keith was spot on throughout all of that.
Yes.
His delivery, his approach to that. Top notch.
Speaking of Keith, other things going on in the hashtag Dork Shared Gooniverse, both Mac and Goo and hashtag Dork are going over DC Fandom. If you're watching us on the live stream, you're going to be able to catch hashtag Dork a little bit later over on the Facebook page and, of course, on their YouTube page. Mac and Goo has already done their episode. Wes, what is PCP doing this week?
What they are doing, much like we did our rewatch vault, they were going to their jukebox and doing 1983 songs. I believe Michael Jackson dominated that year.
Okay. So we haven't done a movie that was before our time, I don't think. And I know Mac and Goo were big on not doing a movie before their time. I think they broke that for like a couple years.
Yeah.
But 83 seems to be a little bit far. But Rossi.
So with movies, I get that. With music, I think anything's on the table. For some reason, music is so much more easily consumable. Maybe it's just shortness, how you listen to it instead of having to sit down and watch it on a screen for a 2-hour period of time. I think music is in play to go further back.
Okay. All right, fair enough. You're more. I would say you're more the music guy than I am. As much as I love music, you are very passionate about the shit that you like.
Yes, there was one time where I was knee deep in the rap game.
Yeah,
I'm probably more ankle deep now. And just maybe I'm just dipping my toes in the water.
But it seems like now you and Billy D are so into this shit, and I think Mac is too. Could be a whole new revolution. The second coming of Wes as a big rap guy. I had no better way to package that. Anyways, TLDR this week. We will be again on episode. We'll be broadcasting live at on Doc's Twitch and on the hashtag DorkShared Gooniverse Facebook page again on Thursday, and we will have all the audio up on the Change My Mind channel going forward. I will put the first 3 episodes up, and I will be adding the 4th one on Friday after we broadcast it on Thursday. And I think that wraps everything up for us, Wes. Do we do TBD again for next week?
Yeah, I think TBD is good, and then we'll let the creative juices flow and see what comes up over the course of the week.
Yeah, may need to get another fight going again just to get the juices pumping. But
I feel like our little Twitter thread is a great soundboard to see what would work and what wouldn't work.
That is also true.
Maybe we just start some shit in there and see what comes up.
I think that's a good idea. All right, so until then.
Yeah, now more than ever, same bad time, same bad place.